beyond cancer. I have a huge family, right? And growing up, the C word was always something that was whispered, something that we didn't talk about, right? We always thought, I remember someone wondering, is this contagious? Or what about this? When we hear the words, you have cancer, it's a death sentence. So when I left Somerville and moved to the DC area, and I was starting my life, and I see one of my childhood friends from church, Tamika, make sure you go see her table. I gotta get over there too, visit everyone here. You know, I had these hopes and dreams and aspirations for my life. Cancer was not on that list. When I was a little girl and I was writing in my diary, cancer was not on that list. The day before my 17th birthday, my dad, my everything, died of colon cancer. And even though cancer had touched our family before that, that was probably the time I was most angry with cancer, because cancer took away the love of my life, and we ran out of time. Fast forward, I moved to DC, I'm living my life, I'm working at Black Entertainment Television, even though my mother, God rest the dead, kept saying I worked at the cable company, but that was okay. I did everything that I hoped, wished, and dreamed that I would do one day. And then I was driving as a country girl. I had a 5-speed. I wasn't here though, I was on the Beltway. There was no need to have a 5-speed stuck in traffic holding on that clutch. And I had a boil under my arm. The boil had nothing to do with cancer, but it was the reason why I went to the doctor. Now, sometimes in life, we are underinsured, so we have a little bit of insurance. But sometimes we don't use it because it's not good insurance and it doesn't cover anything. And we think about, how will that impact the well-being of myself and my family? Money. It comes down to money. Sometimes we don't have insurance at all, so we don't go and we do home remedies. I always say if there's some type of apocalypse or anything, I'll survive as a good country girl because I know every type of salve, every type of little thing to make. But this boil under my arm, I could not do anything with, and it got me to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor, the nurse, as we were doing intake forms, asked one simple thing. When was your last physical? When was your last pap test? When was your last this? And I thought, I don't remember. And then I started thinking about it, and I think, oh, the last time I went was when I graduated from Claflin and moved to Maryland. That was the last time. And so I was starting a new job that had insurance, and I thought, okay, this doctor brought it up, I'll make an appointment. So I go into this appointment, fast forwarding, and you know, this doctor wanted to check everything from the rooter to the tutor. And I was like, doctor, you doing way too much. But this doctor, she was like, we're gonna check everything. You haven't been going to the doctor, we are going to check everything. And so I'm gonna tell you something. I have never met anyone, and men, you need to hear this too, because there is someone in your life who you love who needs to hear this message. So I have never met anybody who woke up and was like, it's Pap Day. I love putting my feet in the stirrups. I love for a stranger to come in and look between my, and yes, I'm in the church, I'm gonna say it, my coochie, my girly bits, my everything, right? Anybody who loves getting pap tests, no one loves doing it, but it's something that we absolutely have to do. And I wasn't getting it done. I wasn't getting it done. And little did I know that cancer was growing in my body. So on June 14th, 2001, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I walked into an operating room. Because from April 12th to that time, I was told that I had cervical cancer. I was told that I would not be able to create life within my body. I would never be able to birth a child. because of cancer. And I was devastated. I felt like everything that made me a woman was taken away from me. I felt that the semblance of who I was gone because cancer had come into my life. I questioned God because cancer's already taken so much from me, God. Why would you do this? And even though I was raised in the church and I had faith, I wasn't ready to die. I had more living left to do. And so I prayed, and my family here prayed, Zion Pilgrim, my church family prayed, churches around prayed, and I survived. And I made God a promise that if I got through it, that I would use my story to make a difference. But I was still holding in this animosity, this burden of not being able to have a child. And so God gave me something else to birth. I birthed Survivor. I birthed that organization. And through talking about the human papillomavirus and its link to cervical cancer, and I felt ashamed. And if you know me in real life, you know there's not much that I'm ashamed of. I will talk about anything. But it felt like a dark cloud hanging over me. But that's not how I live my life. I was going to break generational curses and talk about cancer. I was going to talk about the things that are uncomfortable. And so when I started telling my story, it was my testimony. It was my testimony to share a story. So there are these song lyrics that are some of my favorite lyrics. It's My Testimony by Marvin Sapp. So glad I made it. I made it through. In spite of the storm and rain, heartbreak, heartache and pain, still alive, declaring I made it through. See, I didn't lose. I experienced loss at a major cost, but I never lost faith in you. So I stepped into what most of us know is the new normal, living my life beyond cancer. And how do I thrive? I thrive because I'm still alive. I thrive because I wake up every day and I have breath within me to breathe and live and be able to say that I'm a survivor. I stopped looking at the milestones, though they matter because I am very proud to be 21 years cancer-free. But to me, it's not about the 1 year, the 6 months, the 3 months, the 10 years, the 21 years. It's about today. It's about living today. It's about being grateful and thriving in this space. It's about meeting people and empowering them to share their stories and not be ashamed, because all cancers need to be talked about. All cancers matter. And we are fortunate with cervical cancer that we are in a place where we can eradicate cervical cancer. Unlike so many other cancers, we have screening tools. We have a vaccine. But we don't have people who feel resilient enough to talk about it. And I want to change that. And that's what God birthed into me. And so while I was sad that the devil had come in and taken a dream that I had since child. You know, I used to play with doll babies, my nieces and my nephews, and you think one day I'm going to have a real baby that's all mine. And what I wasn't seeing was that God is truly the architect of my life and my destiny. And when we want things, sometimes they don't come when we want them or how we see them. So here I am, diagnosed at 25, lost my fertility. I didn't lose my life, thank God, but I lost what was burdening me, what was holding me down. And now, 21 years later, a baby who will be born in November, not of my body, but will be here for me. God's destiny, his promise for me, thank you, has manifested in so many other ways. And so when Ms. Gaffney asked me to be here to share, Of course, because my testimony is to empower, to inspire. And because I survived it, I'm going to thrive and forever give the glory. And so to all the survivors, I thank you. To all the caregivers, I thank you. And to this ministry, it is so important that we utilize the church in talking out loud and together. And caregivers matters. This is for survivors, but caregivers, you matter. It's a lot of work, and we need you. We need you. Sometimes we don't need you to say anything, to do anything, just to acknowledge the space that we're in. When I was diagnosed, I didn't know any cervical cancer survivors. So when I built my organization, it was really important for me to meet other survivors. So when I was invited to be here, it was important for me to bring another face. And I want to introduce you all to Miss Kimberly Williams from Houston, Texas, who is here. She is a 2-time cervical cancer survivor. She's an author, she's a singer, social worker, an amazing mom, and even though I have not known her that long, I just love her. I just love her. She has an anointed voice, and thank you for making cancer pay and being who you are. I love you.